This is Newark, Ohio, a small manufacturing town with a once successful economic history. Now finds itself relatively dull and somewhat quaint, with few reasons to remain more than a speck on the map. Its mildly interesting historic sites and courthouse attract minimal attention of tourists, and those living in the bustling metropolis of Columbus often grow up not having heard of Newark at all. But tucked deep within this quiet setting is a small folk group of musicians frequenting the local bars and venues, of which there are a few. With growing fan bases, some of these artists have made it beyond the borders of Newark to spread their music to farther reaches of Ohio, and some beyond. This is Benny Peak. Benny's one of those artists whose lives have seemed to revolve around their music. Having grown up as a tight friend with this aspiring and increasingly successful musician, it's clear that, though it has taken years, Benny's ambition for his music has molded him into a multi-state touring act that works a job back home only to support getting back out onto the road. So what genre of music would your music fall under?
I'm comfortable calling it folk punk. I like that. Travel influenced that aspect of it. The folk music part. You go to places and people are going to gravitate their own way. I mean, there's a loose structuring to the events, and a long time ago, people found a name for that, and we call it folk punk. Lately, I try to just sharpen it down to singer-songwriter, because that's really what I am. But it sticks nicely in the folk punk name, and that's what I always wanted to do with it.
Benny's music can be found on his Bandcamp website, where currently 3 EPs are available for free download. Benny Peak and the Grog Drink and a Good Old Fashioned EP, Strange Care Serenades, and Sad Scrappy Sucker are products of his devotion to his work.
Being abused and I'm straight tired of hearing music, 'cause it's not an art, but art fun. Thinking you're my only one. Take 5 hours to set your head on fire, and sleep aids instead of lemonades to get rid of that excess. Better than any real bed rest.
As a traveling, touring folk punk musician, how has being on the road shaped the way you write music and perform and interact with your audience?
It's the physically traveling aspect of it that it changes you. I mean, yeah, travel definitely influences art in a lot of sneaky ways. It makes you consider things from different angles and different perspectives, sharing cultures. For a little while, it was kind of like pushing a block uphill. There's people that live for this stuff all over the country, so it becomes easier over time.
Often, Benny tours with a musician named Greg Rikus, an energized solo act out of Winnipeg, Canada. Tell me a bit about your touring partner, Greg Rikus.
Greg Rikus, he's the man.
Greg's sets represent an exemplary demonstration of the kind of unusual styles folk punks use, utilizing a stomp box complete with tambourines, kazoos, and implementing percussion using his guitar. Seeing him play at a Donato's basement venue across from OSU campus was a pretty wild and satisfying experience.
Yeah, alright.
Good God. Such a good head on his shoulders, lives to travel. I don't think I've met anybody who's as physically traveled. When he's off tour, he's trucking. But it's just great. Like, he's able to work his magic. We stayed at Erik Petersen's house in Philadelphia, and it's like not even a thing because he's so well adjusted to everybody. It's like, oh, hey, how's it going, man? Like, you get to see everybody as just people.
My songs are like my children. I make times for different ones depending on how well I know them.
Tony's Bar is a strange oasis in the evening. An abandoned tire factory lies across the street, and like the rest of Newark at night, much but the corner that the bar rests on is quiet. The acoustics in this particular bar are not quite ideal, and the customers are often noisy, treating who's ever playing more as background noise than the main event, if there's not a planned and advertised show. But those who are there for the music are committed to the artists as well as their own music, and many return almost weekly for this open mic of sorts. Not quite an open mic, as there's usually a headliner, but everyone who wants to play and is in time for sign-up gets a crack at the stage. One wouldn't guess at first glance that this town contains a folk punk scene, but most of them seem to know each other, support each other, and congregate at places like Tony's or Taco Dan's in Granville, which rests just 5 minutes away in the next town over. It's the existence of small venues like these that make musicians come out of the woodwork of small towns and form these groups of passionate artists and musicians, like the one found within the bowels of Newark.
This is Damien and Sarah's birthday bash extravaganza. Thank you very much for coming out. Make sure you took your bartenders very well. Ladies and gentlemen, up next, give it up for the one, the only, Mr. Benny P!
Yeah, well, you know, when you put it that way, now it goes
Why did you choose a lifestyle of devotion to music?
Is it a lifestyle? I never really thought of it that way. I really don't know what would have happened if I didn't. I probably would have fallen into something artistic at some point or another. I'm the kind of guy who, like, even as a kid, if I wasn't doing something creative, I'd just kind of twitch. It can really test you, you know, sometimes you're rammed into overdrive, but I don't know what my life would be if I weren't doing it. If I were to be any type of, this might sound fastidious, but if I were to be any type of interesting person, I would have had to have gone with music. Otherwise, I'd just kind of exist.
Who are your heroes and how have they inspired you?
Well, of course, there's my old orchestra conductor, Victoria Capper, Samantha Schnabel, my senior year, which we're still in touch. When I first heard I'm Dead, Serious by Micah Schnabel, that was the first time in my life it ever clicked. I was like, what? This is what this guy does? Like, somebody who makes a living just being creative and making music. And
This dude's pretty sweet, by the way. Check him out if you get a chance.
you can tell with some of his writing that it's not easy. You know, writing songs and having to produce when you're creatively spent or something, or like making a job out of it. Sure, they've all been left to their own devices right from the beginning and just kept going, even at the worst of times. People who really treat this sort of thing not as an adventure, but more like a business. But it's still entirely your own. It's not an original creative endeavor, but it's really worth the trip. Hi, my name's Benny Peak from Newark, Ohio, or Columbus, Ohio, depending on how far away I am from Newark, Ohio. And my new LP is going to be called Benny Peak and the Rapidly Consumed Media Disaster. The songs on it don't really follow a central concept. They're just stuff I was spending a lot of time thinking about at the time of writing. The name of this song is Hi Dad, It's Me, Ben.
As the future takes its fit, I fear just as would it for me. There's a pale crow puking gospels, and they're just too tall to read. The lights fading on the first act as a monologue still runs. They're confused right now, they need someone, and I'm not there to decide. So Satan and baristas, won't you take an ebb from me? And instead craft a practical joke fit for all the world to see. Infinite forestries of toothpicks flex these fires fit for trees. And as the future breaks its fit, I fear as God wills it for me. Convicted in his prime, his girlfriend's soul is mine. Tattooed acres near his eyes, but crossing nine state lines. Throws one back for the drive, so musically inclined to recruits by his side. Tom Waits' music on his mind. I can't afford these old highs. I'll chase a new one.
I can't tell if I'm like answering these questions or if I'm just narrating something.
You're answering the questions. You're giving as much narrative and dialogue as possible, which is a good thing.
All right, it'd be cool if there was a guy behind you flipping signs like "Good job" or "Getting warmer."
I'll change my facial expressions. to,
No. On the other side of the camera.
Growing his own food to every week and die. A studio in the city when the summer was too dry. Fights panic every night, waking up brain fried. Articulates his pride, but never tells you why a temperature kid in a factory. But he's still thinking.